Mr. Speaker, the only person here slowing down Canadians who want to travel is the Prime Minister himself. The only person who's stopping Canadians from having access to an important document, which is a passport in this case, is the Prime Minister's incompetence. This is a national crisis, Mr. Speaker. Mario Dumont spent the whole night at Guy Pavot complex for his daughter's passport. He's saying that they are being treated like cattle. But that's not true, because animals aren't left without water all night. That's the difference between that and Passport Canada. How can the Prime Minister be so poor when it comes to delivering products to Canadians? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we know that this situation is difficult and very stressful and completely unacceptable. We know that Canadians have started travelling again and there has been an increase in the number of passport requests. We've created a new centre to increase production capacity. We've hired 600 new members of staff. We will hire 600 more. We have created a new tool for booking appointments online, and we will continue to work day and night to deliver more passports to Canadians. That this is a problem, we recognise it, and we will rectify it, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Mégantic l'Érable. The same answer for the past 3 weeks, Mr. Speaker. 3 weeks and absolutely nothing has been done. Passport Canada would process 90,000 passports per week before COVID, and now they can't even do 48,000 a week, Mr. Speaker. So where's the problem? All this Prime Minister, all that he touches turns to mould. It's the same for passports. We're using talking points from 2-3 weeks ago. The Prime Minister has never had to wait for his passport. He never has to wait when it comes to coming back to the country, and so why does he accept that all Canadians should have to wait? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. We do everything we can to make sure that Canadians obtain their passports as quickly as possible, and that's allowed us to hand out over 360,000 passports since April. Staff is doing overtime every single day and on the weekends to process requests. ESTC is helping us during the weekend. We will continue to do everything that is necessary to rectify this situation for Canadians. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. We've already said it, Mr. Speaker. We are in a madhouse. People that sleep 3 days outside, who are paying fees for delays caused by the government. Under police supervision, journalists are being kicked out from passport offices. Can the Prime Minister finally be courageous, grow a backbone, and tell the House that he is responsible for this fiasco? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we understand that passport renewal requests have greatly peaked since the end of travel restrictions, and so Passport Canada staff are working day and night relentlessly to deliver passports to Canadians. We understand that people are facing unacceptable delays. This is very difficult, but we will continue to work day and night to rectify the situation, and we will rectify it. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. He was the only person to guess. He was the only person who didn't know that there would be an uptick. When he travels, there's a chartered aircraft that is paid for taxpayers. Someone applies for his passport for him, and sometimes his friends even invite him abroad for holidays. But travellers would like to travel. They ask for their passport, and the Prime Minister says, well, maybe you won't get it in time. Before travelling this week, Mr. Speaker, would the Prime Minister like to sleep in the rain for 2 days waiting for a passport? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, in January, we started hiring hundreds of new members of staff for passport services because we saw this coming over the horizon. People have huge requests coming in, a huge number of requests coming in. We are increasing staffing levels day after day. We're accelerating solutions when it comes to delivering passports so that Canadians can travel this summer, can go see their loved ones and their family. That is exactly what we want to do. And Mr. Speaker, that is what we will rectify for Mr. Speaker, The situation is getting out of hand at passport offices, and TVA tells us that at the end of this ordeal, the lucky ones who do actually get their passports at the Guy Favreau complex in Montreal are still being charged extra fees. Despite the minister's instructions, Canadians and Quebecers are still being charged $110. Despite the minister's instructions, the federal government is making Quebecers and Canadians pay for its mistake. The minister has no control over their department. When will they finally ensure that citizens get their passports without undue fees? The Honourable Minister for Families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would like to reiterate to my colleague that all employees for Service Canada have been told that if passports are outside of standard services, then there will be no supplemental fees. We will reiterate this. It is clear. It has been instructed to all offices in the country, and we'll make sure that it is implemented in the field. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Thérèse de Blainville. Mr. Speaker, about as clear as mud. People are being treated like cattle at passport offices, and instead of managing the crisis efficiently and effectively, we've learned that security at the Guy Favreau complex decided to expel a journalist who was reporting on the state of the waiting lines. Mr. Speaker, if the situation degenerates to the point of being embarrassing to show on screen, the solution is not to chase the media away, it is to better manage the crisis. When will the government increase hours, redeploy public servants, treat Canadians and Quebecers decently, and make sure that everyone gets a passport? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The situation in Montreal is unacceptable. I have learnt this, I've learnt from this, and it is clear that this is not what should happen. I can reassure my colleagues that now in Montreal, everyone who is going to travel in less than 48 hours will get their passport. Triage is done in the waiting line, and senior management is there in the field in order to manage this situation, which is a huge volume, but an unacceptable volume nonetheless.